Every year we eagerly await the New Year's coming and happily watch fireworks and the Rose Bowl parade. Well, 2019 is a little different. We still counted down for year 2019, but with a certain sadness and concern. 2018 ended with a government shutdown, while 2019 started with semi-closed national parks and a out-of-money court system. Are you curious to know what else may be coming our way? Our small mystery decoder team may have lots of talent, but our psychic abilities are not something we often brag about. But 2 years ago, we released some predictions for the coming year. We thought since so many people are wrong on so many predictions, why not try to release our own? And maybe we could do better than them. So our 2017 prediction scorecard was pretty good. I mean, for someone who had never done it before. Then our 2018 did even better. The first one on my list, President Trump to step down, did not happen. But we explained how we figured that out, based on a Nostradamus quatrain, which talked about the old man's 20 months of power. We realized he meant the midterm elections changing that power after Trump administration's first 20 months. And the alien life was the Navy's acknowledgement of a UFO 2004 encounter 17 days after we released the video. And the technology breakthrough was the Chinese scientist gene modification. So, am I right on? You bet. But I must confess that other than a few we figured out from Nostradamus' Book of Prophecy and the Chinese Tuibei, we put what we sensed in there. I guess for a brief moment, we did receive some special messages. We only released 6 predictions for 2019 because the images we saw were really horrible, and we were quite reluctant to share what we saw. But events that have happened since then have left us little choice but to share. Let me first get it out, and then I will explain to you where I got the information. So, here is my 2019 top 10. Number 1, Trump survives. Number 2, lawsuits against the Mueller team. Number 3, Japan will be in trouble. Number 4, Insight's big find on Mars. Number 5, the economy in big trouble. Number 6, major disasters in the US and world. Number 7, Yellowstone eruption. Number 8, South Asian quake. Number 9, China conflict. And number 10, disease outbreak. You may not survive without paychecks for long, but our President Trump will survive, no matter what we find, because like I predicted, and based on Nostradamus' Century 10, Quatrain 76, the great Senate will ordain the triumph. And we predicted on December the 8th, 2018, there will be lawsuits against the Mueller team. And on December the 10th, 2018, just 2 days after the release of my prediction, Jerome Corsi filed a $350 million lawsuit against the Mueller investigation. I wonder if they watched my video and said to themselves, what a great idea. Well, when every news these days are reported from 2 different angles, filing a lawsuit will be the best way to feed news headlines. In case you don't know, people on your side will believe whatever you say. When I said Japan will be in trouble, people have asked me, what kind of trouble? Well, all kinds. There may be a few quakes greater than 6.0 in 2019, and the economy gets worse and the government decides to divert the news headlines by starting a conflict with China. Even though there is not much news from Insight yet, I still believe some big find will rattle NASA. Although I'm not sure if NASA will share that precious finding with us. Number 5, the stock market seemed to be doing great in January. But I think the future is not rosy at all, as social unrest will lead to more chaos, and the stock market will drop with people's confidence. Everyone should have at least some cash at hand. Number 6, major disasters. This has already happened all over the world. Riots broke out after Bangladesh's elections, as well as the Congo elections. Riots after the elections have already claimed 900 lives. The earth has been shaken non-stop, and it seems to only get worse. Am I right? I hope I am wrong. Number 7, but one big concern of mine is Yellowstone. We all know Yellowstone will erupt. It is only a question of when it will erupt. To search for the answer, we dug deep into Nostradamus' prophecy and we found this quatrain. In Century 2, Quatrain 65, quote, "The sloping park great calamity, to be done through Hesperia and in Subria. The fire in the ship plague and captivity. Mercury in Sagittarius, Saturn will fade." Why do I think this is about Yellowstone? Because the fire in ship may mean the world's tallest active geyser, Steamboat, which is in Yellowstone. And isn't Sloping Park with Great Calamity a fitting name for Yellowstone? It is a park on top of an active supervolcano. And when I searched, I did not find this quatrain. I found a 4-quatrain cluster in Century 2 Quatrains 64 to 67. And Quatrain 67 gives us timeline clues. The blonde one will come to compromise the fork-nosed one through the duel and will chase him out. The exiles within he will have restored, committing the strongest to the marine places. The first line is about the flight with a blonde president and a stuck-up-nosed Congress. And the duel may be a failed impeachment. As we said before, the Senate will restore him. And what soon may dominate the news will be a U.S. sending a fleet to a sea of conflict. If the quatrains are grouped as they all happened around the same time, a Yellowstone eruption may be imminent. Number 8 is a major South Asia quake. So many quakes have happened recently in South Asia. More quakes seem for sure will happen. But I think this will be another big low, and I pray for people to be spared of more devastation. Number 9, the China conflict. Let's first see what will happen with the trade war. Well, if either side is not willing to at least meet halfway, that indeed may push the war to another stage. In the meantime, China will attempt to expand its markets with other countries, while U.S. merchants could possibly find other sources for cheap goods. The U.S. trade deficit would still get worse, because goods replacing made in China would mostly come from outside the U.S. So China's economy could well suffer, which may lead to a conflict with Taiwan. China will not attack Taiwan unless Taiwan declares independence. Taiwan won't declare independence because in reality, they already have all the independence they could wish for. The pro-independency government lost their last election. But because they lost the last election, maybe they will make a risky move so they won't lose the next one. Any conflict with China would strengthen the people's support with the current administration, and they can only do it while they are still in power. So watch out for a no-winner conflict between China and Taiwan. Number 10 is about disease outbreak. Outbreak? What do you mean? If it is not breaking news, does that mean there is nothing to worry about? Well, the news is already out, but many have not put 2 and 2 together. 2 weeks ago, CNN finally reported the second worst Ebola outbreak. Is it something to worry about? No, right? We survived the worst from 2014 to 16, so if we can stop the spread at 11,310 deaths, do we need to worry about the current 400 deaths? Good point, but did you see today's news about the Congo election riots? With over 900 people already dead, and the election delayed, the situation is likely to get worse. Sorry for putting these two unrelated death tolls together. But can you imagine what will happen when a dangerous disease is spreading in a country that's already in chaos? Because I have little credibility, I decided to check on what Nostradamus had to say about the Doomsday Plague. So let's take a look at Century 5, Quatrain 63, quote, "From the vain enterprise, honor and undue complaint. Boats tossed about among the Latins, cold, hunger, waves, not far from the Tiber the land stained with blood, and diverse plagues will be upon mankind." This is the Doomsday Plague quatrain, which is scary, but who knows? It may not be until year 3033. That's what I thought at first, but then I realized the diverse plagues in the fourth line means there will be more than one plague. Then I recalled the news about the 8-year-old Guatemalan boy that died in Texas. He died of flu, mistaken as cold, and from the log maintained during his custody, we realized the little Latin boy died less than 14 hours after his symptoms first appeared. Is this a plague? If not, tell me what it is. But what made me think what this quatrain is about now? Because I believe the meaning of many of the quatrains appears in clusters. So, I looked at the one following this quatrain. So in Century 5, Quatrain 64, quote, "Those assembled by the tranquility of the great number, by land and sea council countermanded, near Antone, Genoa, Nice in the shadow, through fields and towns in revolt against the chief." Do the first two lines sound like the caravan event assembled from South America? So let's now examine the next quatrain. In Century 5, Quatrain 65, quote, "Come suddenly, the terror will be great, hidden by the principal ones of the affair, and the lady on the charcoal will no longer be in sight. Thus, little by little, will the great ones be angered." That is the only quatrain in the Book of Prophecy where insight was mentioned. And insight just landed on Mars November 26, 2018. So, will the Doomsday Plague come soon? I don't know, but I hope not. So if Insight Quatrain was grouped with the Doomsday Quatrain to give us the timeline, then we not only should worry, we should prepare to stop the spread of the diseases. However, what confirmed my fear of Doomsday is a quatrain I found recently. In Century 3, Quatrain 92, quote, "The world near the last period. Saturn will come back again late. Empire transferred towards the dusky nation. The eye plucked out by the Goshawk at Narbonne." And in Century 3, Quatrain 93, quote, "In Avignon, the chief of the whole empire will make a stop on the way to desolated Paris. Tricas will hold the anger of Hannibal. Léons will be poorly consoled for the change." This quatrain clearly states this is the beginning of the Doomsday period, and the event that marks the beginning is clearly stated in these two quatrains. Paris, Narbonne, Avignon, and Léons are mentioned, and it is about the dusky nation. The current Yellow Jacket movement is to avoid pollution, so the empire won't be a dusky nation. And Narbonne is the birthplace of the Yellow Jacket. Although these two quatrains may be referring to the French Revolution of 1789, the mention of Avignon proved it is about now, as Avignon was not part of France until 1791, and Léon revolted against the revolution. To clear up any possible further confusion, Nostradamus used tricost, will hold anger. The French people voted 3 times recently. The first vote resulted in a 4-way tie in 2017. Then Macron won, and now the anger against him led to the 3rd vote, this time through the Yellow Jacket protest. Although I think these disasters will soon be upon us, I hope I am wrong. And I hope we can show care and support for each other even during the worst of times. This is Ken Peters. Thank you for watching.